You open your eyes and see a clear blue sky. You step outside, feel the warmth of the sun on your skin, and hear the rhythm of rain starting to fall. It all feels immediate. It feels true. You trust these sensations entirely. But everything that you are experiencing right now is simply a closed-loop simulation constructed entirely inside your mind. Your sensory organs, your eyes, your ears, your nerve endings, are not objective recording devices. Millions of years of evolution did not design them to show you the absolute truth of the universe. They were engineered for a single practical purpose: to keep you alive long enough to reproduce. This chart shows the complete electromagnetic and acoustic spectrums. Look at the tiny, narrow slice in the center. That is the entirety of human vision and hearing. While a bat maps the world in ultrasonic frequencies and certain birds navigate using ultraviolet light, we are completely blind to the vast majority of the physical data constantly passing through us. We operate completely disconnected from objective reality. Our brains survive on a heavily filtered, tightly restricted subset of data, extracting only what is strictly necessary to avoid danger and find food. To understand how active this filtering process is, consider your most trusted sense: sight. Light bounces off a physical object and hits the millions of photoreceptors at the back of your retina. Those receptors do not capture a cohesive picture. They tear the image apart, translating light and color into a chaotic, continuous stream of electrical signals. By the time those signals reach the visual cortex at the back of your brain, they are entirely fragmented. The brain has to frantically stitch this static together. It actively recognizes contours, separates figures from backgrounds, and guesses depth and shadow to build the scene you think you are seeing. You actually have a physical blind spot in each eye where the optic nerve exits the retina. No visual data exists there. Yet you never see two black holes hovering in your field of vision because your brain seamlessly hallucinates the missing pixels based on the surrounding context. This diagram demonstrates exactly how that guesswork operates. Here, a shadow falls over a checkerboard. Your brain assumes shadows make surfaces darker, so it brightens the shaded square. But when the shadow is wiped away, the error is exposed. Both squares are the exact same color. Your brain prioritized context over raw data. Sight is an active act of creation. It is a real-time patchwork of sparse physical data and the brain's educated guesses. Hearing requires the exact same level of creative interpretation. Sound waves hit your eardrum, and tiny hair cells inside the cochlea translate those mechanical vibrations into specific electrical frequencies. The brain receives these isolated impulses and has to reconstruct the audio. If you are watching someone's lips form a specific letter, your brain will actually alter the sound you hear to match the visual cue. The audio wave remains identical, but the internal narrative dictates the perception. We can accept that sight and sound are subjective, but touch feels undeniable. Pressing your hand against a solid wooden table feels like concrete proof of an objective physical world. At a microscopic level, the atoms in your hand and the table never touch. The electromagnetic forces surrounding them violently repel each other. The sensation of solidity is just the brain's way of explaining that magnetic resistance. Your mind will even assign that sensation to inanimate objects. In the famous rubber hand illusion, a researcher strokes a fake hand and a person's hidden real hand at the exact same time. Once visual and tactile data align, the subject's brain adopts the rubber hand as its own, literally flinching in pain if the plastic is struck. The boundaries of your own body, the specific flavors of your food, the solid objects around you, these are all elaborate fictions written by your neural pathways to help you navigate a world you can never directly touch. To fully grasp how isolated we are, consider the physical environment of your brain. It sits encased within a thick bone vault. It is completely silent and locked in absolute impenetrable darkness. This flowchart illustrates the leading neuroscientific framework for how that dark box generates reality: predictive perception. Often called the Bayesian approach, a statistical method of updating probabilities, this theory argues that the brain acts as a simulator. It constantly generates hypotheses about the outside world. The brain tests its internal simulation against incoming sensory signals. If the data contradicts the simulation, an error signal forces the brain to violently snap its model into a new alignment. Out of the silent void, powered by chemical reactions and electrical loops, the mind generates cosmological theories, symphonies, and the immersive architecture of our dreams. When you are awake, you are experiencing a highly controlled internal hallucination. It feels real simply because it successfully maps onto the physical constraints of your environment. This mental construction extends far beyond physical objects. Our shared social realities, language, cultural conventions, and beliefs alter our biology. There are populations whose specific languages cause them to perceive time flowing geographically from east to west, rather than past to future. Even the physical threshold for pain is dictated by social expectations. We are remarkably eager to embrace engineered illusions. Virtual reality technologies exploit these exact neurological feedback loops. By coordinating visual and auditory signals, we trick the brain into generating a genuine sense of presence in a world that does not physically exist. As sensory manipulation technology becomes sophisticated, what happens to the human experience when we flawlessly dictate the data reaching the visual cortex? When the digital inputs perfectly match our predictive models, the resulting reality will be indistinguishable from the physical world. Realizing that the world is built entirely inside your skull does not render life meaningless. It removes the brain from the role of a passive spectator and reveals it as a relentless, autonomous creator. Every time you open your eyes, you are actively writing the universe into existence. Our reality is a delicate compromise between a survival-driven illusion and conscious wonder. That compromise is the defining masterpiece of human existence.